Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Temperatures are warming up, and there is no better boat for fun with your friends and family on the area lake than a pontoon. And Madisonville Marine carries all manner of pontoons: Suncatcher, Aqua Patio, Apex, Sweetwater pontoons. New and used, both come with guarantees. You're not going to find that at a lot of places. Get down to Madisonville Marine and check out their entire selection of pontoon boats. Or if you're interested, you could look at their deck boats, their bass boats, on and on and on. There's no greater selection in East Tennessee. From Atlanta to Nashville, nobody gives you a better deal with more selection than Madisonville Marine. All right, want to welcome in the next two guys, part of our panel. Always fun. I was teasing in the last segment. Jimmy Hyams, of course, the host of Sports Talk Monday through Friday on Sports Radio WNML. And right there, Mike Strange, who not only a columnist for the Knoxville News Sentinel, but is a rotating panelist. You sit there and spin. Rotating panelist on the Sports Page radio show, also on Sports Radio.
Mr. Fun.
Mr. Fun. All right. And now we take it down a notch. Bad news again this week on the UT football front with an arrest late in the week, well, with allegations late in the week regarding, and we have the details here, regarding a rape investigation being carried out by KPD. Wide receiver Von Pearson, who really was important for the Vols last season, he's been suspended indefinitely from the football team. The KPD report says that the incident was both alcohol and group/gang related. Two other Tennessee football players were listed as witnesses on the KPD report. That's Pig Howard and Demaria Mixon. This all comes after the allegations last November against A.J. Johnson and Michael Williams, and they are now awaiting a trial date in August for aggravated rape. You had an accusation against Riyad Jones, the former Vol, though he was not formally charged. Nothing came of that one. His accuser declined to prosecute. And there was also a story of an unnamed walk-on who faced school charges, campus charges that were dropped. The person making the accusation did not go through the criminal system and chose not to pursue criminal charges. We will get into Butch Jones' comments after yesterday's game in just a second, but Jimmy and Mike, your thoughts on the here we go again nature. We asked this a few weeks ago, is there a culture issue? And I think most of us said it's too soon. Now, is there a culture issue or is it too soon? Is that fair to say?
Well, you get concerned when you have that many. You really do. And I've talked to people about, well, how much do you now hold Butch Jones accountable for this? Well, I hold him accountable for how he acts after this occurs. I'm not sure if I hold him accountable beforehand. And I don't know how in the world you don't get the message if you're a football player at Tennessee after what happened to A.J. Johnson, who could destroy his NFL career. So now, it happens at a lot of different campuses. It seems to be happening a little bit more frequently at Tennessee, which to me is the concern.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Is it society? Yes. And do all schools go through these things? Yes. But this is an awful lot for a 12-month span with one school and one particular type of allegation. Mike, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a fair question to ask and really needs to be looked at. What's going on that you have this group like this in one place? But because I feel fairly certain that Butch Jones and other people in the administration are trying to, educate, making an effort to educate these guys and talk to them about it. I'm not sitting in those meetings, but I feel certain that happens.
You're right.
They've started a new Wednesday program that they have the speakers come in, and one of the things they cover is how not to get yourself in this situation with the sexual assaults.
Yeah, so, it's hard to, I can't put myself in the place of what that's like, what those temptations or those opportunities, whatever you want to call it, might be, because, I wasn't a high-profile athlete out mixing around like that. So, but you're just surprised when it happens again and again.
Yeah, let's take a look at what Butch Jones said yesterday after the Orange and White game. Says, I don't want that to take away from all the great things that are going on in this program. That's an ongoing situation. He's suspended indefinitely. There's consequences for choices and actions, and we constantly educate our players. It's not an illustration of our football program. We have tremendous kids in our football program. I'm disappointed, but we have to move forward. We have a lot of great kids and a lot of things going on here. This is interesting. I know people will try to use that against us, but we have great kids. I think that's been proven with our community service, our academic excellence. We'll continue to move forward, but there are consequences for actions. And then finally, we're not going to tolerate it. It's inexcusable. I think you guys know how we run our football program. We have tremendous kids in this program. It's not an indication of what we have. It's unfortunate. That's all I'm saying. The thing I thought was interesting there is when he said we know people will try and use this against us. If he's referring to other schools recruiting, I absolutely agree. If that somehow means the media discussing it, that I have a problem with, because there's no way the media won't discuss this or shouldn't discuss this. But I assume he means other coaches using it to recruit. Chuck, I'll start with you, and then we'll come back to Bob. Your thoughts on what he said?
Well, it's like, my son Chris called me, and he said, how can somebody be such an idiot to put themselves in that situation? And for what Butch Jones says, this overshadows everything else that's going on.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, one of these is about equal to 100 hospital visits.
That's exactly right.
Sadly. And that's what you have to be able to get across. And you just hate it. You have to remember that there's a victim here. But then when I saw the alcohol, I said I've been at situations around the campus thing, and it just seems it's getting worse and worse. But the thing that really jumped out at me was gang related too.
Group gang related.
Gang.
We don't know what that means.
Yeah.
We don't know what that means exactly. Or I don't know what that means. I haven't talked to anyone. Any guesses? Any knowledge?
Sounded to me like a group of gangs. Even more serious.
All right. Your thoughts on how Butch Jones handled it?
There's really no way for a coach to handle it past disciplining the player, because what can he say? This is an ongoing problem. We got tons of kids in here. It worries me every day. He handled the situation, and I want to disagree just a little bit with the culture thing. And I mean, you talked about this on Friday, and I've thought a lot about it. I thought with the previous coaching staff, you did have a bad culture. Bad actors got break after break after break. We want to keep you on the field. Butch Jones, when these allegations come out, he's very quick, suspended an All-American almost quality linebacker last year before an important game.
Certainly a star.
So I don't think it's so much a culture emanating from the football team because of the way Butch Jones handles it, but at the same time, you've got to be concerned. His comments, I just think these paint a coach into a corner. Yeah. What all can he say?
And one thing I would say real quick, when I think of culture, I'm not thinking about the football team. I'm thinking about the college life as a whole, and not just the University of Tennessee.
Certainly, but the problem is, a lot of people, when it's going on at Alabama, ha-ha. When it's going on at Florida, ha-ha. Well, it comes around. And right now, it's stepping all over Tennessee's toes.
And does this get back to the old thing about not having athletic dorms anymore, that these guys are spread out all over the place?
Jimmy, I think it's harder to monitor when you do that. I really do. And were there some negatives about dorms? There were, but I'm not so sure that there weren't as many positives about it, because you could oversee your athletes, and it was easier to know who was where and when.
And now, with the NCAA kind of giving autonomy and allowing, for years it had been, and the reason you went away from that was, people had the Wildcat Lodge type stuff at Kentucky, and it's a recruiting advantage. Well, now they're allowing the big schools to play like big schools anyway. I mean, you're going with the stipends, if that goes through, and schools can give different amounts of money. It would seem that it would be easier now to get back to the athletic dorm situation than you had before. But it is a concern. There's no question. I mean, when you have this same instance, same issue, pop up time and again, two of those issues, nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. But when you keep seeing, as Chuck said, these stories take precedence over the hospital visits. When you keep seeing Tennessee and the words rape accusation going across the ticker on ESPN, that is not good for the program, and certainly you wonder what the administration thinks about something like that. When we come back, we'll get it back on track to talk football. How did the quarterbacks look yesterday? Running back, so run game, the offensive line, did they get any push? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.